All right. Well, 2025 is here, and I put out a video of all my models that I printed in the past year and a half. And I was inspired by Acceptably Epic. Did a really cool video of all the things that he had been printing, and thought I'd just throw that one out there. It's uh, not as cool as what he did, but just figured I'd just throw it out there. But I wanted to make a video of all the things that has been going on in 2024 that that I'd like to talk about, like the releases that have been coming out for OPR, Quest. I'm going to talk about Terrain, my predictions, and hopes for 2025. Now, the predictions, I'm putting in there because I've actually been pretty good at predicting the past couple of releases before they announced it. I pay attention to their videos, and I, I guess I've been lucky, and I'll probably get them all wrong now because I'm putting it on video. When I don't put it on video, they always come out to be true. So just wanted to start with, in the beginning, 2023, I got a Elegoo printer, FDM printer, and printed out some of these guys, like these alien hives, and they came out okay. They're playable, but when you paint them, those ridges, those layer lines, make it less enjoyable painting because you're looking at them up close and they don't quite look right. They got a lot of flash. It's very difficult to get those models right. On this picture here, you can probably see on the wings there's a lot of imperfections, to be honest. Now these actually came out really good, but also there were many that came out poorly. When I'm taking the supports off, snaps the wings or a leg, or it was an ordeal, and it started becoming less and less enjoyable. The dwarves came out pretty good, as you probably saw in my video, but the some of them did come out pretty messy, and it was a hit and miss with the FDM printer. I've not had good luck with FDM printing. I'm thinking about getting a new one that looks much more beginner friendly, and we'll see how that turns out. Well, anyway, in March of last year, I decided that I'm going to get a resin printer, and I've been super happy. As you can see, I went kind of nuts. Now, near the top of the picture over here, this is the FDM section. You got the alien hives and the dwarves. The rest is resin. This is FDM over here. But the high elf fleets, high elves, shadow stalkers, wood elves, human defense force, they were dice. They were all resin printed. I still try to print out some things with my FDM printer, like terrain. So terrain and any other projects like my display cases, I use the FDM printer. But if I'm doing miniatures, it's pretty much all resin. It is just so much easier and um, really more painless, less painless. But I don't know. English is not my best language, I guess. But the resin I thought it was going to be a lot more messy. I thought it was going to be a lot more, um, honestly, dangerous. But it turned out to be a lot better than I had thought. And thanks to the printer that I use, Anycubic, people have been giving it bad reviews. The one that I have, I think it's fantastic. I've not had a misprint at all, unless I made a mistake where I didn't put it on the build plate. That was the only time it didn't work out. But if I did my job correctly, the printer did its job, and I'm super happy with it so far. So yeah, everything but terrain, high elves, shadow stalkers, high elf fleets, human defense force, wood elves, that's all on resin printing, and going to continue except for the terrain. All right, so the upcoming releases that are coming out, as we all know, the Orc Marauders are up next. They're going to come out in April, and then right after the Goblins. I get the impression that the Orc Marauders are going to be 5 to 6 months release. And then the Goblins, they said 2 to 3 months. So if they start in April, that would give them 9 months. So if there's a 6 months release of Marauders and then 3 months for Goblins, that will take us through 2025. That's that it looks like two little releases, but it's really going to be one huge release because the orcs are going to go with the goblins. They just wanted to make sure that if somebody just wanted orcs or just goblins, then that's what they got. And I think it's good because you start mixing in the goblins there, it takes longer to get to the orcs that you really want. So I think that's a good idea. I'm glad they're doing that. I'm looking forward to the orcs. I think a lot of people are. And this was a prediction that I had gotten right. I picked the Human Defense Force. I picked the Orc Marauders. Didn't know about the goblins. That was a little bit of a surprise. So they say that they're not going to be goofy. They're going to be more tough. We'll see. All right, so let's get into my predictions. This is just based off of what I've heard on their broadcasts, trying to read the main guy in OPR. And I think he's become a little bit more predictable, kind of. And so the Human Defense Force and Orc Marauders were a pretty easy pick for me. So for fantasy, I strongly think I'm 90% sure. Oh, just so I don't have any connections to OPR. I don't have any inside information. This is all public information I'm basing my guesses on. But for fantasy, the next one that I believe will come out, and let's see, that's 7 months, so June of 2025, I believe we're going to see dwarves. It's based on all their what he was saying, that he wants to have the big five, and I believe the fifth of the big five, the Battle Brothers, and I think Havoc Warriors for fantasy is going to be the big five, or maybe it's the Celestial whatever. I think they're going to be last. And so with the fantasy, you already have the humans. They're doing the elves right now. They haven't done the orcs, and they haven't done the big guys, whatever that is. And so honestly, it's really between the dwarves and the orcs, and the pictures that they showed on the stream that they had, it had bolts, wood, and metal. I think that's their shield. And then, describing the shield. And then they said like coal is toxic or poisonous or something. Who else mines but dwarves? So unless it's one of the not big five, it's got to be the dwarves, in my opinion, unless the orcs are miners too. Somebody correct me on that. But the fact that they're mining poisonous coal to aid their weapons sounds to me like the dwarves. So I'm pretty confident at this moment of what's going on there. I think after that will be the orcs and goblins. So, dwarves will start in June. They'll be done before the end of the year. And I think it can be, October if they don't have too many dwarves. And I'm thinking that dwarves isn't going to be a 6 months release. If it is, we'll miss October, but we'll still get Orc Marauders for October, which I guess is enough. But I'm thinking they're going to do orcs and goblins, and that's because he talked about backlogging. They want to get ahead. Their releases are lagging further and further behind. I believe they were supposed to have a tree giant, and they didn't do it. It's now January, and it didn't show up in the December releases. A lot of things were late. I really do think he wants to get ahead of it. And for me, I'm not somebody who sculpts, but I do believe that the best way to do it is by having the sci-fi and the fantasy pretty much go together, because you're going to have the orcs and the goblins pretty much modeled up. You just change their poses, put a different clothes or whatever, but you got the faces, you got the arms, you got the legs, hands, whatever. Those things are all in play, and I imagine it'll be a lot easier just to go ahead and make them fantasy and get ahead by streamlining your workload. So that's why I think it's going to be dwarves and then orcs and goblins, because they already have dwarves for sci-fi, so this should be easy. And then the orcs and goblins. Before I saw what that little hint that he gave us, I thought it was going to be orcs and goblins before the dwarves. But now that I saw that, I'm pretty sure that dwarves are going to come first, and then the orcs and goblins will take us into 2026. Now for sci-fi, okay, this there we already got the orcs and goblins, or orcs and then goblins. So this is a very long, 2026, I'm thinking. And this is a long shot Hail Mary prediction. If I get this right, I don't know. I guess I get a cookie or something. But I really do believe that they're going to come out with, they should. It's not the only one they have left is Battle Brothers, because they would have the orcs and goblins, they would have the dwarves, they have the high elves, and they have the humans done. So the four big ones, there's only one left. It's Battle Brothers, right? It should be Battle Brothers or Havoc Brothers or something like that. But I don't think it's going to be Battle Brothers. There are so many companies out there that make Space Marine, Battle Brother type models. I think they should just ally with somebody that is doing a good job and just say, okay, these are the Battle Brother. We're going to have a campaign, and Battle Brothers are going to be part of it, and this company has it, and they're going to bundle it all together and give it for a good price. That's what I would do. That would really help the game, get people the Battle Brothers that they've been waiting for, instead of going and trying to invest in their own Battle Brothers. It would move along their catalog very quickly. I think that would be a good thing. But even still, even if they don't do that, I don't think Battle Brothers are going to be the 2026 release. I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm going to say it's the Space Rats. And he talked about the Space Rats just totally out of the blue in the last stream that they did. And so I think Space Rats are gonna be the ones after the orcs and the goblins. Again, they already have Ratmen. They just need to put some science fiction stuff. They're so close to getting it done. They just need to make a few vehicles, and I think they'll have a whole army ready to go very quickly. And that will help them get their backlog in place, and then they can go do whatever. They can go back to Battle Brothers. They can, be ahead of the game as far as their releases are concerned. So those are my predictions. That's what I think is going to happen, and it'll be interesting to see in about a year from now to find out if I got it, because we know the orcs and goblins. That's set up for a while. Dwarves are going to be announced if I'm right. So if they come out, say 4 months, next month? No. Let's see. Because they do have 4 months. It's 3 months and then the announcing month. So for instance, they announced for April. So the February stream, we should know if it's the fantasy dwarves. So we'll see about that. All right. Next thing, I wanted to talk about Quest. I think the game is great. I think they're doing a great job coming up. It's better than I thought, because I thought they were just going to put out the rules and say, have fun, make up your own missions, whatever. I had no idea that they were going to put out storylines and, characters, bad guys. It's everything I could have hoped for. I think they need to keep doing that. I hope and pray that they continue doing that. Quest is a great game. It has legs. Um, you know, uh, I can't compliment them enough on it. There's one criticism I have of it. They need to consider making terrain that matches the missions. They have this scenario. It's so beautiful. I can picture in my mind, and then I don't have the terrain to go with the missions that they're doing. Whether there were some with forests, but I mean, some buildings, some furniture, just something, just one thing. Just give us one thing, a centerpiece that goes with the missions of that particular month. Doesn't have to be a lot, just a centerpiece thing, a building, a house, a church, a special looking forest or hill or altar, something that the missions are going to be centered around for that month. I really hope that they do something like that. It would make the Quest games a lot better. That's the only thing that I'm not enjoying about the Quest is that I don't have the table for it. I don't have what they're describing in the story, and it kind of takes away. I mean, I still use my imagination. I get through it, and I'm having a lot of fun. But I think that would make it perfect if we could just get the terrain that they're thinking of. It'd be beautiful. All right, so I'm going to be talking about other model makers here in just a second. Let me pull out of this. I've been looking at Gamic. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Gamic is they're doing all the armies for OPR. In fact, if you go to the creators tab here, they do a great job in getting these army lists out. So let's see, right now they're doing Knights of the Temple for the Space Marines. And so they it's not complete because these are the only models that have come out. But if you look at things like the Vengeful Night Angels, which I think are like the Dark Angels, they've got a full list. They're ready to go. All those models are in their catalog. They make very nice looking models, both for sci-fi and fantasy. Unlike OPR, they separate them, so when you are getting their subscription, either you get fantasy or sci-fi. If you get both, they give you a little bit of a discount. One thing I thought was very cool, and it's not on here, I guess it's on My Mini Factory, but there's a last chance tier where you can go back a few months and get it so that you don't feel like an idiot for joining and you just missed the release that you really wanted. So I thought that was really cool. Gamic Gaming, that's something I'm looking into right now. They've got some, a lot of cool models. They just came out with this guy here that I printed for a friend. And for fantasy, they don't go like uh, OPR where they just do one sci-fi and one fantasy. They'll do several units of several other armies. So, for instance, last month, let's see, do they have it? So for the sci-fi, they had a missile launcher. And then for fantasy, they had sand dwarven claws or something. Some Terminators for sci-fi, a Gator Rider for the mummified undead, a demon. Let's see. Do they have everything here? No, they don't have it listed. But yeah, you just take my word for it. They are putting out some really nice looking models for Space Marines or Battle Brothers, Havoc Brothers. Um, let's see. Did they really go into anything else? The aliens, alien hives. They did a lot of stuff. And then for fantasy, let's see. Actually, it's probably better if we just look over here. So they've got the Battle Brothers. It looks like the Robot Legions, Iron Core. That's the human Death Core. Thinking these are dwarves. These look like dwarves. Yeah, this is dwarves. And then for the fantasy side, let's go to Age of Fantasy. Go to creators, and Gamic is over here again. And they remind me a lot of Daka Daka, but they they've been very up to date on their army lists. So they are integrated wholeheartedly into OPR, and so I am definitely taking a look at these guys. Here you got dwarves, lizardmen. This is like the ghostly undead. Ogres, that's the Tomb Kings. So Gamic does a really good job of making their models and then making the list. So definitely a cool one. The other one that I'm actually subscribed to now is Puppet Wars. Um, they are pretty exclusive. Space Marine Battle Brothers and Space Orcs, or Orc Marauders. The reason why I'm checking them out and getting them, I'm going to print out a few things and see how it goes. This may be my Battle Brother go-to in the future for one reason. I really like the idea. Let's see if they have it in here. I don't think so, but you can. They're magnetized. You can glue them if you want to, but you already right here at the wrist, they've got magnets. They've got magnets up on over here, so you could change their backpack. They don't magnetize the heads, which I think is a big mistake. I think they should allow, give you a version where you can magnetize the heads, because they come out with so many cool bits that you can make stuff for. And even though with printing, it's not a big deal to print another one, it is nice to have these options so that, let's say I want to print out a new body, a new head or something, different paint scheme, I can still just plop on just paint the gloves, all the gloves black, and then have a different paint scheme for each one. So it works both ways. You can put on different weapons, and then if you want to keep your weapons and not have to redo them again and redo the body, you can do that. So I'm going to check them out and see how that all works out. All right, so yeah, and they're fun. They make orcs like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They'll have orcs that are the A-Team, Batman. It's pretty cool. All right, so here's my hopes for 2025. I think they're going to try to do this, but let's see. I'd like them to have a player directory and map, like a heat map or a pin map, where you can see everybody just signs up and puts in their address, so we can see where everybody's at, and then contact information. So if there's somebody near me that plays, I can contact them. And the Discord is just a little too much hit and miss. It's very good for getting, communicating and setting up plans, but I just don't know who I can really talk to, and, asking people where they're at. Some people are shy and they just don't want to put it out there, but they will put out a pin and see what happens. So I remember Flames of War did that at one point, and it was fantastic to be able to find people. Even if I could find people, I was able to find people in New York when I wanted to go visit there. And I'm not normally there. I'm not going to bump into anybody in the store and make plans later, because I'm only there for a couple days. So it'd be nice to be able to see people, let's say in Florida, North Carolina, whatever, and start building a community on our own. I just need a directory and a map so I can visualize where these people are at. If they say I'm in Wytheville, Virginia, I may not know where that is. I can't visualize it, but if put it on a map, I could see where it is. I could click on it. Oh, Wytheville, Virginia. Wonderful. I can talk to them. So I wish they would do that. I hope they do that. I think that they're going to be better at bringing people together. I hope that they're going to be better at bringing people together at conventions. Just set like a meet time here. This is even if they have no table there, they don't need to have a table. Just a portal thing, maybe on Discord, where, hey, this is Adepticon, and this is the little channel for that, and people start saying, hey, who's going? What hotel you're in? I'll we'll meet up at this time. We'll set up a table and play or whatever on this day. I think that's important, because if you say you're going to Adepticon, and I say, okay, I'll see you there. Well, what if you're only, if it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're just there on Sunday and I'm just there on Friday night. We'll miss each other. Like, hey, I thought you said you're going to be there. I was. And we miss each other. So I hope there's a portal where we can coordinate meeting other OPR players. Meet at this station at this time, and we're gonna hang out and play and just chill, make connections. I think that'd be a really cool idea. I do hope they start setting up a tournament circuit. Personally, what I'd like to do eventually is make up teams, like a team from North Carolina, a team from Michigan, a team from New York, whatever. And we go to a convention and we got our own jerseys or something. I don't know. Maybe that's too cheesy, but I think that'd be kind of cool, have uh, teams that come from certain areas and represent those areas like a sports team. I think that would be fun. I think they should start looking at getting these stores, these local gaming shops on their side, not to directly compete with Warhammer, but maybe enhance. And I honestly think that Games Workshop is not looking at these game stores at all. They are not the priority, is the impression I'm getting. They are going Hollywood. They are going Amazon. They see the big bucks there and how easy it is to just get everybody else to do the work for them. Uh, Making, producing, and distributing these products is not easy to make these models. And honestly, people are saying, "Oh, well, they're making so much money. Their stock is way up." I don't believe that's because of model sales. Maybe they are doing better in model sales than they were before, but I don't think they're expecting that to last. But I do think that they can cash in majorly on movies, shows, video games. I think video games is something they're looking at. They do so well on video games, and they thought that the Age of Fantasy, the Warhammer Fantasy was um, just out of nobody wanted to play it, and then they put it on the computer, and everybody wanted to play it. So clearly, people love that universe and that game, and that's why I think Age of Fantasy is such a cool game, is because it keeps that alive. But I don't think Games Workshop is really interested. I think they're just interested in holding on to the space as a placeholder. They came out with the old world, and I think the rules are kind of cool. Of course, totally overloaded and bloated, but I think that they're. Oh, that's another thing that helps me predict. Games Workshop is going to come out with Space Orcs. I think they've got a spy on OPR. They're keeping an eye on OPR. It's going to be hard to convince me that Games Workshop has no idea what OPR is doing. And I think they're trying to keep ahead of OPR and keep them suppressed a little bit by coming out with things that will take the wind out of OPR sales. So when my friend told me that Space Orcs is coming up, it's coming out soon for Warhammer 40K, that was the final nail in the coffin. I said, okay, OPR must be coming out with Space Orcs, because it's happened a couple times where OPR was going to do something. They were going to do the epic Grimdark Future, and then all of a sudden Games Workshop came out with theirs. Well, maybe OPR has a spy in Games Workshop. Who knows? But I think they're definitely aware of what the other is doing, and that's what's happening. I think that they should they should give out a merchant's license, and if they're worried about it getting out of hand, then just make sure it is for a brick and mortar store. Has a business license, whatever. They have a place, and they only produce models for in-store sale. They are not to be sold online. I think that's the main thing that they're worried. They just get out of control online. They have their own online vendor, and they don't want them to lose business. But I think if you let the people in the stores print their stuff, There's got to be a way. Maybe the person has to have the STL file. The store can't have its own STL file. I think they're doing that anyway already, but just make it more accessible somehow. More, I don't know. They got to start talking to stores and getting them more involved. That's the only way that you're going to that's the only way that they're going to be more accepting. Around here, it is very difficult to find a gaming store, period, and then a gaming store that can understand what you're talking about with the 3D printing. They think it's competition. They don't think it's going to help their business model. Maybe they're right. I don't know. I'm not a store owner. Um, is that it? I think that's it. Yep. So those are my hopes. I really do hope OPR does do these things and make 2025 awesome. Where not only do we have all our stuff, but we get together and just play each other more. I'm very interested in going places in the general area. I know Adepticon's like way up in Wisconsin. I don't know if I can make it all the way there. Chicago was a stretch for me, but the Eastern Seaboard, Ohio. I think Indianapolis is definitely doable, but definitely in the South, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. I can even get up to New York. Just super interested to see everybody get together and just throw some dice and enjoy talking to people who enjoy this hobby. So I'll sign off there, and thanks for watching this long, and I'll catch you the next time.